Well, we had another visitor this week. Former Mexican President Vicente Fox visited Colorado, and Mayor Michael Hancock signed the Denver Public Safety Enforcement Priorities Act into law. Fox praised Hancock and the Denver City Council's unanimous decision to protect immigrants from federal ICE enforcement policies. Noelle, your paper has been covering this and covering this. What should we be watching for in the days to come?
This standoff between Denver and federal immigration authorities is not over. The very next day, ICE agents went back to the Lindsay Flanagan courthouse and were making arrests. The Colorado Rapid Response Network is a coalition of a lot of groups that represent immigrant interests, and they have like a hotline. So if you think that you're cornered in the courthouse, you can call, and lawyers and people with video cameras show up. So a woman called, and everybody showed up, and this woman who had gone to the courthouse to make an appearance for a criminal case managed to escape the ICE agents this time. And I talked to Carla Castedo with Mi Familia Vota, and I asked, well, how did she manage to get out? And they said, well, she just bided her time and kind of waited it out. But I'm not exactly sure how that went down, but she did manage to make her court appearance and then get away. And that's been a sticking point for the mayor, city council, law enforcement, that ICE agents showing up in the courthouse are interrupting the criminal justice system, and we need people to participate in this system. More activity yesterday. Denver signed an amicus brief with Chicago, who's suing the Justice Department and Jeff Sessions over an order of following certain immigration-related requirements to receive money through a grant. And I think 36 cities signed on with Chicago yesterday, asking a judge to bar those orders from Sessions. This grant's the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, and Denver's gotten about $500,000 for that. Previously bought the Shot Spotter system, which they have placed around the city to detect gunshots rapidly and get officers to the scene very quickly, even if no one calls 911. So we'll continue to watch this battle play out between Denver and the White House.
Michael, do you think Denver's asking for trouble with the moves it made this week?
I think they could be. I'm trying to understand fully, why they decided to do what they did, given that the city was already following this policy before this ordinance. So I think more than anything, it's a political statement that's being made here. I think it could backfire on them. You could have cuts to federal funding. You could have increased immigration raids. You could have more ICE agents in here in general. So it definitely could backlash. I think more broadly on the immigration issue, there's no doubt there's an array of views about how to handle legal immigration. There's other issues that come up every day around it. But when crimes are committed, I think that's kind of when American people, a majority of them, start to get a little bit concerned. It becomes a safety issue at that point. And we know that immigration is a federal issue. Localities shouldn't be coming in and doing the federal government's job, but they also shouldn't be blocking the federal government from doing their job. And that's what I think is going on with a lot of these cities, including Denver here. So as Noelle said, I think this is going to be a constant back and forth between cities and the federal government that's going to play out for years to come.
Joey, as the political correspondent, you're going to have plenty to report on.
Yeah, you're right about that, and that's what this is. This isn't about policy. This is about politics. Denver is not doing anything that they weren't doing before this law passed. They're just sending a middle finger to Donald Trump. On Sunday, Dave Williams, a state representative from Colorado Springs, as if we doubted this was about politics, he sends a letter to Donald Trump saying, oh, you've got to do something about Denver. And Colorado politics, we got a statement from Mayor Hancock on Sunday, and he says, well, Dave Williams is just, doing a publicity stunt. Well, we've got a saying in politics that says, he who smelt it, dealt it. Both sides are playing politics here, and that's what this is. And it's a real shame because there are people in the middle who are afraid. And as these politicians play these games, they need to keep in mind they're scaring the very people that they purport to be representing, people who are afraid about crime and people who are afraid about immigration status. I wish they'd just knock it off. Trump is not going to kick in anybody's door, and Michael Hancock is not going to stand in the doorway to stop him. Nothing has changed.
Well, Ben, I think we have just gotten another first from Joey Bunch in that reference. Does this deal smell?
It smells terrible. It smells, like everyone is saying, like political posturing. It's more of that from the mayor's office, which is no surprise. People have already seemed to have forgotten that a few months ago he was kind of on the fence on these issues, and he got smacked pretty hard locally for that and by a lot of people on the left side of the political spectrum, and here he is trying to make up for that. And so I think really, if you want to give somebody credit for pushing this in the administration, you probably have to look at his chief of staff, because I don't think the mayor really has a strong feeling either way.